name is Mary Ella Hutchinson, and I live at 1490 Duke Valentine Wynn Road in Lewisburg, North Carolina. And I would like to again address the issue of the special assessment to the Kerr for the loss of funds or misappropriation funds, whatever you want to call it, that we were apprised of at the last board meeting. And in addition to that, I also want to talk about the possibility that one of our board members probably should not vote on that issue tonight, but I'll address the issues with the Kerr first. I haven't had a chance to really prepare what I wanted to say, so I'm just going to have to go from notes here, and I apologize for that. I hope I don't ramble too much. But I got a chance this afternoon to talk to Diane Cook with Kerr out of Henderson, which was a very nice conversation, very informative, and I got to ask some of the questions that I need to ask, and I had a conversation with Don this afternoon, which was also helpful. And but we have the possibility still, in my mind, that even if we vote, if the board votes to follow through with this assessment, we still have no guarantees that the Kerr cog will still be in business afterwards. We may be merged with another group. We have no guarantees whatsoever. And I think what disturbs me now is that this audit report came to light, or not the audit report itself, but the information in the audit report came to light last October. And we had a commissioner sitting on that board, and this is the first we're hearing about it. That's a little bit disturbing, and I think that our board members really should have gotten hold of this audit and read what's on page 78, talking about the problems with the misallocation of funds and how that all happened. And I'm learning that nobody's had access to that audit. Is that correct? Nobody had access to it. I think you had a copy, but it was very simple to get one. I called Diane up today and I said, Diane, can we get a copy of the audit? She said, sure. And she emailed it to me. So it was there and it was available to get to all the information on here. And there was a deficit. The question cost was only $138,000, $138,537, not $311,000. So we're actually making up a deficit in the general fund also, from what I understand, in the total of the 311. So we don't have all the facts here, guys. We do not have nearly all the facts in order to make a decision. So there are no guarantees that if we pay the assessment, that the COG is still going to be there. We're dealing with the federal government here. We're not dealing with our friendly banker down the street who will say, okay, so you made a mistake, you've corrected it, let's move on, you've got new management in place now, this shouldn't happen again, we'll monitor it. We're not dealing with that. As I understand, the EDA is only a very small portion of what actually comes into the COG. And from what Diane is telling me today, they've already defunded 2 other projects that were coming through the EDA because they're not going to get that funding anymore. And once we resolve this issue, or they resolve this issue on this $311,000 assessment we're being asked for, we have no guarantees of what's going to happen with the COG. It could be that nothing. Could be that nothing happens. It could continue on just like it is, but what if it doesn't? What if the EDA goes back to the other federal programs that we're getting the benefit of and say, hey, this is what happened, guys, and then they withdraw their support? We have no guarantee. I asked her the question, had they or the legal counsel entered in any type of negotiation with this investigation coming out of Atlanta, and it is still an ongoing investigation, and I think Roger will address that shortly. It's not a done deal by any means. So my question was to her, have you talked to anybody in Atlanta doing the investigation to see what's going to happen if we pay back the funds? And she says no, and I'm sure at this point they feel like they really don't have any leverage or leg to stand on. But my point was, why aren't we going to them? Why aren't we going to the feds and say, okay, so we made a mistake, we've corrected it as best we can, we've tried to do deficit reduction, which they have not accepted either. They haven't accepted the fact that they've done deficit reduction. They won't even look at that. So to me, that tells me they're going to play hardball here. But why don't we go to them and say, okay, this is what we can do for you guys. We've gone to the counties, and they know that they've gone to the counties asking for help in the cities and the members. They don't care. They just want their money back. They just want their money. But we have no guarantees for them, so why aren't we going to them and saying, how can we work this out? What can we do here? If my counties, my members, and my cities pay this money back, we owe them at least some sort of answer as to what's going to happen next. I don't is asking too much. And I think as a county commissioners board, we should be saying to Diane and her staff, this is what we can do. If you will get us some kind of a guarantee that we're going to continue on as we were. That's what we should be looking at. So there's, all right, another thing in looking at this after talking to Diane also, that there's no clear indication of the benefit of the EDA to some degree in this COG. Only, what, 3 projects perhaps that they've been involved in. This one, the revolving trust fund for the business loans, that's the major one. But there are 2 other smaller ones which have already been defunded. We're not going to get those anymore. That ought to be a hint to you right there too. They've frozen this account, understandably, and it may not be replenished. Even if we pay back the funds, there's no guarantee it's going to be replenished, that we will receive a benefit from it in the future. I don't think anybody can give us that guarantee until perhaps we sit down with them and say, what can we do to fix this so that we can be made whole, you can be made whole, and we move forward. We don't have anything telling us we can do that. And the possibility of losing other federal funds also. So those revolving funds are no longer available. And I hope everybody understands that, and we'll address that more in a few minutes. They have not accepted deficit reduction to help with the solution, and it is an ongoing investigation. And I think based on those things right there, if you look at the audit report itself, and this was addressed with the board back in October. This is just not just now coming to light. I think it came to light when they got the letter from Atlanta saying pay up or else. That's not good. This should have been out front a long time ago. And as I said, we're talking about $138,000 as being the missing funds versus $311,000. So we're not only paying back the revolving trust fund, but it sounds like we're also making up a deficit in the general fund, which we shouldn't have to do either. I like what I copied off the information from the website today, the agenda items in Granville County. Look what Granville County said. They said funds placed in the trust account pending approval by all member governments is their stipulation. The COG shall make a claim on the finance director's bond, an executive director's bond, if any. Any funds received shall be refunded back to the members pro rata based on percentage contributions. Now think about this.
Ms. Hutchinson,
I'm sorry.
Could you wrap up your comments?
Yes, just this last part, and I'll be done, because this is very important. All right, a bond is not an insurance policy. If they file a claim against the bonds, somebody still has to pay back that money. The board of directors, as Danny said last time, will become personally responsible for those funds. That's the way bonds work. They're not an insurance policy. I've got an insurance background also. And as Diane mentioned today, they even check with their D&O coverage, and if it's proven or the feds come in and say we're charging you with misappropriation of funds, there is no coverage there either. So you got a big issue. Now, quickly, as far as Mr. Dunstan taking a vote on this tonight, I object to that 100%, because if we vote not to do it and they come after the board members to make up this shortfall, he has a financial interest there. I think he should not take a vote tonight. As a matter of fact, going back to the statutes, the board may excuse a member from voting, but only upon questions involving the member's own financial interest or official conduct, or on matters on which the member is prohibited from voting. If he voluntarily refuses to vote the way the statutes read, then the board has to impose that upon him. Thank you.
Mr. Tomlinson, was there a liability policy in place at the COG?
According to the attorney, Jim Wynn, there's a $2 million policy.
Which would cover that situation, correct?
For me this afternoon, and he also advised me that all other county commissioners have voted for, been allowed to vote on the issue.
But there is a $2 million policy in place to protect them individually.
Yes.
Don,
Okay.
that's not
Next-
correct. That is not correct.
Next member, next person to write the letter.